Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I listen to expand my understanding. And the little laugh was because I was like, oh, it's another 222 day. And we could use a little 222 going on right now because world. 222, hope and faith. And I think maintaining those energies, hope and faith that there is this divine plan that is unfolding amidst everything that's going on, that feels very important. That being said, we have a lot to unpack in the astro. Holy moly. Today we have Venus square Mars, which we'll dig into. We've got the moon finishing up in Libra and meeting up with Pluto energy, actually at 12:22 a.m. Pacific time, so there's that 222 energy again, hope and faith. And then we have that shift from Moon in Libra into Scorpio. And I think it's going to be really important to unpack the Scorpio moon energy to really understand it. And as I'm sitting here looking at the chart, I'm like, oh, look at that. Uranus and Lilith hanging out together, and the North Node and Vesta hanging out together. So we've got some yin goddess input coming in as well. We're also building to the eclipse this Friday. So like I said, holy moly, there's a lot. And I'm like, the Gemini in me is like, oh my god, where do I start? I think we're going to start with this Venus-Mars square. We will reach the peak of this Venus-Mars square at 5:41 p.m. Pacific time. This energy actually happens right on the border at 14 and 13 degrees. I'm like, oh, I wish I had shifted my chart to the thing. I believe it's actually going to be at that 13 degree energy, which is that revolution evolution energy. Surprise, surprise, right? So we have Mars hanging out in Pisces. We have Venus in Gemini. The thing with Pisces and Gemini is that they are both information seekers. Now, Gemini energy is usually like, what's happening in the world around me? Squirrel, squirrel, shiny thing. Look over here, take in all the information. Whereas Pisces is like, here I am, out in the ethers, tuning in to the esoteric messages. And so, right now, we're definitely probably getting different messages because in the ethers, it's like, hang 10. It is okay. All is well. And if we look here in the world, it's like, hold on tight. Oh my god, it's a little bit scary and it's very upsetting. And oh my god, what is going to happen? So we've got these two different vibrations coming in. However, despite the square, which we'll look at a little bit more on a human level as well, despite the square, I think it's good to have a balanced perspective. I think it's good to be able to tune into that energy of like, it's all good. Hang 10. Divine plan unfolding. You're all good. You're right where you're meant to be. Everything's happening for a reason. There is a plan, and you are okay. And I think it's good to be in the world and be realizing, holy moly, we are definitely in the midst of a revolution. It is a revolution, evolution energy. Your work, Moon in Libra, is to stay in the balance between those energies. Really recognizing, being here now, and also being aware, Spirit's got your back, Spirit's with us every step of the way through this energy. So we hold that. Venus and Mars also do represent the strong yin energy and the strong yang energy. And yin and yang do things differently, or don't do things differently for that matter. And that may be one of the things that's coming up, because there are a lot of urges for people to show up in the world in a certain way at this time. You do you, boo. It's really important that you tune in, Mars and Pisces, to Spirit. How are you being aligned in order to act at this time. The Venus in Gemini energy is like, listen to what's going on around you, but also this retrograde, listen to that yin wisdom that is coming up from inside you, to again, how you're being guided to move in and through these. We all have a place in this. I actually want to say a little thing. I know a lot of people are going silent in order to allow Black voices to rise. And I think that's really important to listen. And yet I listened and I was like, I am not meant to be silent at this time. I have guidance to hear and provide. And so this is why I am showing up, even though I do honor that, I don't know what to call it, that thing. I don't know what to, that movement. There we go. There's the word. This is me honoring that guidance. And this is one of the things we have to each tune in where that shows up for each of us in the world at this time. This also may show up in relationship. Venus. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. There's actually some validity in that book. It's a very interesting book. This isn't to say just Venus and Mars relationships, just masculine, feminine. This is for anybody. The yin and the yang, they're feeling the rub right now. I don't mean that in a good way. I've had a lot of people coming to me with relationship challenges, stuff coming up. This is also related to this Venus retrograde energy because stuff is being uncovered. It is being brought to the surface. But again, this resistance, we're kind of resisting the way we're being told to move from that yang energy. And the yang is resisting like the stillness of the yin, or even, you know, the yin is so interesting because it's like stillness, but it's also chaos. It's like the stillness in the chaos and the chaos in the stillness. So the yang is like resisting that. So you may feel that may be, again, in your relationships outside of you, but it also could be inside. I feel like the turmoil that is outside in the world, we are feeling inside, and that's part of this square. The good news is it will move semi-quickly. It is also feeding into the eclipse energies coming in. So do be aware of the confusion that is going on, at this time, because that's just going to be ramping up a little bit. Okay, so there's the unpacking of that part. I think we should mention, speaking of yin and yang energies, Lilith conjunct Uranus. Holy moly. There was a meme from Do It Girl a few years ago, and it's like, Mama's home. Between Taurus being the sign of the earth and this Uranus revolution, uprising energy, the Lilith in all of us is going to spike. Now, some describe Lilith as ragey. I do not generally describe Lilith as ragey. Lilith is one unto herself. However, Lilith suppressed, or Lilith seeing injustice, can get her sacred rage on. And as we are in the midst of strong revolutionary energies, you may feel within your yin the rage surfacing. And this may be necessary for some catapulting movements. So do be aware of that. Also, be aware of the triggers in the world. We are looking at injustice on one level, and yet there are and I don't want to take away from that, but there are many levels of injustice that are bubbling to the surface right now. So do be aware of that wounding coming up in and through this energy. Whew. One of the things that I like in this astro, hey, there's good things too, Vesta hanging out with the North Node in Gemini. And that's like, hey, despite any of this, know your soul glow. Know that soul light, and it is helping you pull through this eye of the needle energy. Trust in that soul glow, trust in that energy. It is there. And that North Node Gemini, it's like all of us, like listening, understanding, moving into that destiny. It's also listening to this soul glow, because I guarantee it is helping move you in the right direction. Okay, so let's unpack some of this moon stuff, because that's not enough. Okay, so we have the moon square Pluto and moon squaring Jupiter. That is in the early morning hours. I understand what's going on, and I understand, again, we could even call some parts of this sacred revolution, and yet there's a lot of chaotic energies that are seizing the illuminated darkness to bring forth their shadows and the power of their shadows, and I would say not in a good way. And so I think we're feeling that in the lack of the balance, and I'm feeling that in these squares, that Libra. So I pray that the light in all of us can help illuminate the truth of what's happening in all that, so that we can see. I hope that I'm not being too cryptic. Feel me, okay? So there's a lot going on in that. But again, that 222 energy is like hope and faith. And I do believe that there's a time for action and there's a time for prayer. And again, there are some who are meant to stand and pray, and there's men who are stand and fight. So again, it's tuning into your calling, your power in this. But it shifts, it shifts into this moon in Scorpio energy. That shift happens at 9:05 a.m. and the first connection is the square to Saturn. Again, squares that resistance. Let's unpack moon in Scorpio. Root chakra stuff. And this root chakra stuff is coming as we are building to a full moon eclipse. So people talk about eclipses being like 3 times stronger than the average like full moon or new moon. I'd say closer to 10, at least this year in 2020. It is 10 times stronger. So the intensity that is building at this time, it is like pluck a string tight. Moon in Scorpio, root chakra, survival stuff, fears, power and fears rising to the surface. And that first thing is this square with Saturn, which is like Saturn in Aquarius, even though it's retrograde. I promise there is a bright future. The future is so bright you've got to wear shades. And yet our fears, because we're all seeing what's happening in the world, it's up and it's real. This requires soothing. This requires grounding. This requires connecting to the earth, being supported by the earth. Last night I was like, do you remember the last time you just felt like, I'm relaxed? And the moment I did, I felt my body literally relax for a second. It like melted for a second. And then it went back to like, remember that feeling? Again, despite everything that's happening, our soul is pulling us through the eye of the needle. There is a divine plan, and we are being held by the earth. Tend to your root chakra energy. That will help, that will support. The moon in Scorpio is actually connecting to Mercury. Tidal feelings. Again, building full moon, Scorpio energy, it goes deep. Mercury in the shadow before retrograde, it is bringing stuff up to be felt. We are feeling through layers of rage and repression and pain and grief and revolution. So do be aware of that the feels just may come out of nowhere. Let them move through. Emotion has much power as we let the motion of the ocean. Let the motion go through. Moon is also going to be opposing Uranus and that Lilith conjunction. Sacred rage. It is up and it is a thing. Here's the thing. What are you going to do with all of this power that you possess? Sacred rage, it actually is a power. What are you going to do with this sacred power? How are you being called to channel this energy? And can you listen to the soul glow and spirit, and, those with voices to be heard that are speaking empowerment around you. So how will you utilize this energy? How are you being called into your empowerment in and through all this? I did all that, and I didn't even show you any of the cards. Okay, well, we're feeling this. I would say with this is like, if you are feeling overly stressed, please put things down, sit, breathe, connect your root chakra in, and realize what you need to process on an emotional level right now. This let go card is like you are carrying a lot emotionally. You need to let go. I have the participation card. We all are participating in this revolution on one level or another. How are you being called? And this card I always call the body, mind, spirit, soul, heart card. Please tune in to those pieces of you to bring your whole holy self through in order to support. I got the slow down card. Take it easy. Check in. Tune in before, making these moves. Because we don't want to act from this energy, because this energy can act carelessly, especially when we're carrying a lot of old emotion. The other card I have is the compromise card, which is always the don't compromise card for me. So don't compromise yourself. Be in your integrity. Be in your alignment. But it's also like, again, even if you're thinking differently than your neighbor or that person over there, one of the things that always is expressed to me is like how much more similar we are than we are different. And do try to see where some of these people, not all, some of these people, even if it looks like they're doing something different, that maybe they are working for the same thing. Look for it. And if you don't see it, don't force it, for sure. But look for it. Holy mollies, that was long, sorry. But that was a lot to unpack in a day and in this week. Whew, it's just June 2nd. We are just getting started. So, you can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. Besides that, the better gets, the better it gets. I promise you that. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power, and stay curious. Namaste.